What's going on, everybody? We are the Black Culture Podcast. I am the Willie Ashford, that is,
Bryce.
and we got a special guest. Well, she's not really a guest now because she's already been on here before, so not a guest, but my beautiful wife. Shout out your Instagram.
The only Miss Ashford.
Yes.
Hey, Willie, before we get started, man, I don't know if you got a cut, but we got to do something we ain't did in a long time since we have a fan favorite on the show.
I have a bottle of water here.
All right, well, let's toast it up.
Here, you do.
Cheers, brother.
There you go. We got our water right there. So, we do a lot of
about tonight.
We do a lot of topics. One of our most viewed videos is a relationship video. So we kind of like to try to do certain videos in that area. And Price and I were talking, and it's a saying that goes around in our community: be a man about, or be a real man. I was asked one day, like, yo, what is actually a real man? Like, what's considered being a real man? So Price came up with the idea of being a real woman. So of course we can't talk about what technically being a real woman is. So we thought we have a woman on there to give not only her opinion, her perspective, but just that saying that people says it. But again, before we start off, shout out to all our followers. If you're listening, thank you for listening. If you're on the streaming platforms, give us a 5-star rating. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok at the Black Culture Podcast, LinkedIn too.
Yeah, man. And speaking of relationships, just real quick, I want to give a quick plug because we just did how to keep the relationship fresh with special guest Nicole. If you haven't checked that out, it's live, just dropped today on all our podcast platforms, Apple, Google, Spotify, and iHeart. So check that out, how to keep the relationship fresh. I feel like this one is going to be a real fresh topic tonight. So without any further ado.
So, when you hear like the saying, I'm a real woman, or they may use the word real B nowadays, whatever it is, like when you hear that, what do you think of? And like, what do you think, like consider, like what is considered being a real woman? Or, when people use that, they use it in so many different terms. Like, what's your thoughts on that? What do you think?
To me, saying I'm a real woman, like that's a broad subject, right? You can really, that being a real woman can fit under so many categories. And it really just depends on the context of how they're using it. So like when I think a real woman could be anybody. If you're a woman and you working a job, you taking care of home, you paying bills, you keeping everything in order, so to say, that could be a real woman. Or if you're a real woman and you maybe, I got a degree, I got a business, I got this, I'm a real woman. I mean, it's so many different people that consider themselves real women or real women, so to say, in any different category though. Like, I mean, I feel like that's just something crazy to say to me though. Like, I'm a real woman. Like, what do it really does not really have a true meaning to me, because it could be so many things. It depends on what that person, what context again that they're using it in, and how they feel about that. I could be a bum at home and still feel like I'm a real woman. Like, in my mind, I'm a real woman, so I can say that, right?
I got something for you. So, in the context of being a traditional woman, so like, for example, our grandmas and aunties and all that, right? Versus the modern woman, how would you define what being a real woman was back in the day, or what they saw was, a real woman? Basically, like, what are the responsibilities of a woman versus a woman today?
Okay, so like if you're talking about a modern day women, to me, in my mind, I think of being stay-at-home moms, cooking, having the hot meal ready when the man come home from work.
Modern day woman? A modern day woman?
I mean, older, back in the day, I'm sorry.
Okay. I'm like, I don't know about the modern day woman. She doing that.
I'm sorry. No, well, maybe some, but not a whole
Maybe.
lot. Most women are out here working.
Right.
and pretty much almost doing the same thing that the man is doing, but not the exact same thing. That's a whole nother thing. But what was the question? I'm sorry.
So yeah, so like, what do you think would have been considered a real woman back in the day versus a real woman today?
Well, yeah, okay. So I just used the wrong word, but yeah. So the women back in the day are the stay-at-home women, the women that are cooking and taking care of the house and just doing all those things that I guess people today don't consider women to do. Like, I guess like nowadays, I guess like to me back in the day, it's like men really wasn't doing laundry, they wasn't doing housework and all this type of stuff, right? So, but now today, what do they say? There's no title on who can do what, right? Men cook these days, men clean these days, some men stay at home watching the kids. So, but back in the day, I don't think that wasn't a thing, from my understanding. I could be wrong, but I don't really know of too many men that were doing that.
So when you hear like, let's say you're talking to a young man coming up and he hears a woman say, or a girl, whatever it is, like, I'm a real woman, or like, what do you think his first thought should be? Like, what his reaction should be when he hear someone says that, or when he hears a woman says that? Because I think now, in my opinion, when I hear now, like in today, like modern women, when I hear them say, I'm a real woman, I automatically think they're talking about because they're getting money or have money, or they're like, I'm thinking now, that's just when I hear it I hear I'm a real woman, I automatically think she's talking about financially. That's just what I think, because I think we live in a world too where everything revolves around the dollar, how much money you got, what you look like. So to me, which is, of course, that's not the most important value, but it's a lot of women now that they value the dollar more than the actual purpose of, being a real woman. Yeah, right. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
To me, it's like, and you said it too, like, it's so many different ways, but it's kind of like corrupted, because what it used to be, like back in the day, real woman used to be, I'm taking care of my family, making sure my family is good, making sure my partner is good, turning the house into a home. And eras change,
Right.
times change, things change now. I don't think too many women now want to be the stay-at-home mom or the stay-at-home wife that just, and I don't think it's a problem with that, but I think when you just point out just money, because that's what this world has turned into, I think that's when you add that false narrative to it and that bad example of being a real man. A lot of people think being a real man is money. That's really what it is. It's just, okay, what can I do for you financially, rather than what can I do for you mentally, what can I do for you emotionally.
I mean, yeah, definitely. I feel like anybody that used the term, like, even just being a woman, or for instance, you said if a guy hears a woman say that, I would just definitely be like, what do you mean when you say that? Like, because again, everybody has their own definition of, but if we talking about the money situation, to me, that does not make you a real woman or a real man about how much money that you have. But again, I would just ask the person, because sometimes you never know what their definition of it could be, but I would still just ask, like, what do you mean by that? Like, what does that mean to you? When you say I'm a real man or I'm a real woman, what are you saying to me? Like, especially like if you talking about pursuing a relationship, or just people in general who like to brag on themselves. I would just ask them, what are you talking about? Like, I mean, what are you talking about? What does that mean? Technically, we all real men and women out here, but
so why I got you.
Also, wait a minute. I don't think there's anything wrong with them like changing, like how the eras had changed, like because I feel as if, how back in the day the women wanted to be, or not that they wanted to be, but this was just their role, to stay at home moms, the wives that cooked and cleaned and did this. I feel like women today want to prove that they can do it all. Like they can do it all. I can work, I can take care of the kids,
That's
I
a
can
good
get the
point.
bag, I can do this, I can do that, I can do this, I can do that. That's people really like they want to prove that because people are so stuck on women being treated one certain type of way that they feel like they just got to go harder and just prove everybody wrong.
So that is funny you say that. That actually, I don't know if I ever heard that, me personally, that come out of woman's mouth, like what she said. Women are so into today proving that I can do whatever a man can do. Is that what you said? What exactly the words you said?
I mean, pretty much like,
because that's kind of really what I can do it all.
But I don't think a lot of women are not gonna say that, because if you think about it, right, they who really is gonna be like, yeah, I'm just trying to prove a point here. Most people are not looking at it as trying to prove a point, but ultimately that is really what it is. You're trying to prove a point of being able to do so many things and being able to still be successful with kids, because you know people count you out when you have a child at a young age, or when you are not as successful as you want to be, or whatever. You know, it's like a point to be proven of what you can do.